Good morning and welcome to episode 9 of In the Morning with Stephen Ferris. I'm Stephen Ferris, and today is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. And I haven't had a guest in a while. I still don't have one today. Mark Maple, who has been my only guest so far, has talked about coming back again, so maybe we'll have him. I have other friends, but so far none of them have actually made it on the show. There's a couple of other people who've talked about coming on, but they haven't made it yet. It's hard because I only record during the week, and most other people are employed, so they haven't been available to come on during the week. But at some point somebody will be. Anyway, let's see. I went for my walk this morning, and PG&E is out here doing some work, and they have another company that they contract with to do traffic control also here. I walked out and thought everybody's PG&E. They're right in front of my house, basically. I think they're doing some work on a gas line because we don't have PG&E for power here. It's just for gas. We have SMUD for electricity. And but the traffic guys didn't really know much about what was being done. They were just there to conduct traffic. But, they saw me walk out the front door, and, you could tell there was a little bit of tension because they're like, oh gosh, we got a pissed off neighbor now. We're going to deal with this guy. What's he going to... But, I let him know first thing. I was like, no, I'm just going for a walk. You guys are cool. And then what? Oh, well, I asked them what was happening, and they didn't know. They explained they're just with the traffic control company. And then there were two trucks that I walked past. One was like a PG&E dump truck, but it used to be for another company. You could tell because had the old company's logo on it with PG&E pasted on over that. But it was this really pretty green color that you can order if you order like a fleet of trucks. I was like, man, I wish you could get that color as just like a normal customer instead of a fleet customer. But unfortunately you can't. It's just really pretty green. And then they had the traffic control people had their own truck too. It looked like an F-250 regular cab, 8-foot bed, just packed full of cones and road signs and stuff. And I was looking at this stuff because I've been thinking about getting a truck. But anyway, then what happened? Well, then I just kept walking, and I didn't see the Walmart shopping cart today. I made a point to look for that. Did not see it. And then I kept going, and there was the Caprice Classic that I talked about was out there again. This time parked on the street. Looked like they finished doing whatever they were doing to it. Beautiful car, really. It really pops out to me every time I walk by it. One of the things about those cars, so they did the Caprice, right? They also did a Buick Roadmaster and the Cadillac Fleetwood, and then of course there were the station wagons, but that's a separate topic. The thing I want to talk about is on the Buick Roadmaster. You see, when the first cars to use that frame came out back in 1977, they had 3 different frame lengths, and they had 3 different frame lengths all the way from 77 to 84. So they had 116-inch wheelbase, and that was used for the Caprice, the Oldsmobile 88, the Buick LeSabre, and the Pontiac Perazine, or I don't know how you pronounce it. And then there were a few other cars that used it as well. I think there was a Buick Riviera used it for a couple of years until probably just for 77 and 78. And then the front wheel drive Riviera came out in 79. But anyway, why do I know about these cars? But, and this is the kind of thing, if Mark Maple comes on again and he's seen this episode, he's going to be calling me out for being autistic for sure. But anyway, so they had the 116-inch wheelbase for those cars. Then the 119-inch wheelbase they used for the only two cars, the Oldsmobile 98 and the Buick Electra. But the Buick Electra wagon used the wagon frame, which was still 116 inches, but it had a slightly different rear suspension to it. Anyway, and then Cadillac used a 121.5-inch wheelbase, which they used the same body engineering as the Oldsmobile 98 and the Buick Electra, but the front part of it was 2.5 inches longer. So the front fenders are 2.5 inches longer than, there's an extra 2.5 inches between the front edge of the front door and the center of the front wheels. And, you know, I mean, part of the reason they did that is to, you know, give the Cadillacs a special longer look, and then also because they had a much bigger engine that they needed to squeeze in there. So anyway, so they had that 119-inch. Now then, after they discontinued the 119-inch wheelbase in '84, we never saw it again. But it's the same frame. It's just 3 inches longer than the 116-inch one. So I just don't understand why, when they made the Buick Roadmaster, they didn't use the Cadillac Fleetwood rear body and put it on a 119-inch frame. Because the way they did it, you know, the Cadillac Fleetwood from 93 to 96 used the 121.5-inch wheelbase, just like it always had. The Brougham up to 92, it was still using that 121.5-inch frame. But then, the Caprice, the round Caprice came out in 91. Cadillac still used the square body for its Brougham in 91 and 92. They updated the trim on the sides a little bit to make it look sleeker, but it was still the same square body. And then they finally started using the round body in 93. The Buick Roadmaster, I believe, I'll have to look that up to confirm, but I believe it debuted in 91 with the Caprice. And it was on the 116-inch wheelbase, just like the Caprice. Now the Caprice looks great, and I'll explain why in a minute. But the Roadmaster, I don't think looks good, because here's what they did. On the Caprice, you've got the front window on the front door is a certain length, and then the back window on the back doors is much shorter, but they also have an additional third window in the body behind that back door, which visually balances out the length of the front window in the back, okay? But on the Roadmaster, they didn't do that. So it has the same size back door as the Caprice, and then it just has a completely filled in C-pillar on the back instead of having that third window. And so it just looks very unbalanced to me. Whereas on the Fleetwood, since they have the 121-inch wheelbase, that back door is much longer. And so even though their C-pillar is also filled in on the back, you've got a nice balance between the front window and the back window that you don't have on the Buick Roadmaster. But if they had used the 119-inch frame, then they could have used the same length back door as Cadillac did, and then you would have had that balance. It still would have been a slightly shorter car than the Cadillac, but you'd have that balance on the windows and it would look good. And you know, it's silly because then that's supposed to be Buick's flagship car. It was the biggest car that they had. I don't think it was really positioned as the flagship in the lineup, because they still had like the Park Avenue was probably the flagship, which was a front wheel drive car, completely different architecture, but much better looking in terms of the balance between the front door and the back door. So I don't know, whatever. But I've always thought it would be neat to take a Cadillac Fleetwood body and a Buick Roadmaster body and make a 119-inch Buick Roadmaster just for fun. I mean, there's so many of them around, you could probably do it. Well, there's not too many, but there's enough that you could do it. Anyway, then continued on, and I saw there's a guy. I walked past the park, and then there's a guy who I see taking walks a lot of times who has a little dog. Old guy, kind of looks like he's in ZZ Top or something. He's got a big old long beard, and you know, said good morning to him. He was just walking out of his front door as I walked by, and you know, then I kept walking my usual route. And then I saw him again because he kind of goes the opposite direction. And he hadn't gone that far from his house when I saw him. I'd probably gone like twice the distance that he'd gone. So I said hello again. And he remarked that I walk much faster than they do, he and his dog. And I was like, well, that's because I don't have a dog that makes me stop all the time. Because I've walked with dogs, and that's what they do. They make you stop like all the time. Anyway, so then I got back from my walk, you know, saw that green truck again. Man, I really like that green. I feel like if I get a truck, it's gotta be a cool color like that. If it's not, I'll settle for a white one. But I've been doing this thing at my church. We're painting the walls in the chapel and some of the other rooms, the vestry and stuff, using a Leisure technique. So there's like a base color on the wall, and then you take like some pigment and add it to just very watered down, and you put a little bit of a glaze in it, and then you have two brushes. You have a wet brush and a dry brush. The wet brush, you take a little bit of that watered down pigment, put it on the wall, and then the dry brush, you know, you just put it in on the wall. You don't cover the whole wall, you know, you just make some marks on it. Then you take that dry brush and then you kind of feather it out, and you don't want to do it too much. I mean, it depends on what you're going for. You know, if you want it to be a very uniform tint, you know, you're basically tinting the wall. If you want it to be very uniform, you can really work it around. If you don't, you want to kind of purposely leave it darker in some areas than others. But you don't want to necessarily do it in a deliberate way. You can just kind of randomly do it and don't think about it too much, you know. And you step away, and it's just, there's so much movement, you know, as a word that is used a lot to describe the way it looks. You know, you just see this movement of color on the wall, and you can do different colors of pigment. So you can kind of do some in one area and then use another color for another area and blend them together. It's just really beautiful. And we have a woman who does it professionally, who did our altar wall, and then the priest and I are doing some of the other walls. You can tell the difference. But this woman also had done the previous church that we had on Eisenhower Street or Avenue, or I don't know. It's over in the, what is that area called? I can never remember the name of it. But over off of like South Watt, kind of, and Kiefer Boulevard. And then you go into a neighborhood, and then Eisenhower's. And the church is still there, but we sold it and moved to this other location because people wanted to be in Fair Oaks. And now we have endless issues with unhoused people. But it's been better lately. Anyway, so we're painting those walls. I think it'd be cool to get a white truck and probably sand it. You don't want it to be shiny. I'd want to sand it a little bit with some very fine sandpaper, of course, not too fine. And then take some color of paint and smear it on there. I don't know, maybe I'd use the same technique, but you want to use an oil-based paint. It's going to work a little bit differently, and there's not a lot of a texture on a car. But that's what I'd kind of like to try. You know, so I got to think, like, how hard do I want to commit to starting my own business? You know, still haven't found a job, so I'm really thinking about it, but how hard do I want to commit? You know, how much of an initial investment do I want to put into that? Because it's like, you got to put some. I don't know. I'll research that a little bit more. But I think a leisured truck would look really cool, you know, especially if I can get good at leisuring. I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of them are going to have to be corrected. Some of them already have been. But it was fun, you know. And I've been doing other, you know, handyman type jobs like that. I was thinking about starting an automotive channel too on YouTube. I should have made the chair a little bit higher. I realized my chin has been dipping down below the camera. Sit up straighter. Well, let's do that. Need to work on my posture anyway. Butt sticks way out. You know, I mean, I've got a big butt anyway. And then my posture is like, just makes it look even crazier. But yeah, oh yeah, and then I got back from the walk, and my cat, yesterday, I built this enclosure for him in the backyard so he can be outside, and he found a way to get out of it. But you know, it's a nice big space. He's got trees in there that he can climb around on, and little planks and stuff that I put in. He's sleeping on one right now. I can see him. But yeah, he finally figured out a way to escape yesterday, so I went and fixed that, and now he's back in there, and he hasn't seemed to have figured out how to escape again yet. Yeah, so today I'm probably going to do some more job applications, research more on starting your own business, and then I'm gonna I might go ahead and apply at Sac State, but I've also been thinking about trade school. You know, AI can't take those jobs, they're saying, so maybe that's the way to go, and I like doing that stuff anyway. So and then comedy stuff, I'm trying to get more shows booked for you guys. Got to figure out like where to travel to next. So I'm like I'm finding like small venues and areas that maybe I could go and tour to and do, because I think that'd be fun. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. You know, sometimes you get all this energy in the morning, you start doing stuff, and then at a certain point you peter out and you don't get as much done in the day as you hoped you would. But we'll see. All right. And then will I do an episode tomorrow? Probably not. Thursdays are tough to do episodes in. But Friday, I think I should be able to do one. So maybe I'll see you then. All right. Have a good day.